Well, the crash of AirAsia Flight 8501 is the latest in a number of tragedies involving large airplanes this year. And for some, the stories can trigger deep fears of flying. And for more on why this is and tips on how to ease that anxiety when it comes to flying is psychotherapist Cindy Crane. Good morning, Cindy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining us. So here's the deal. I mean, a lot of Americans fear flying. We're talking about 20 million people. Even I have this anxiety build up as I walk down that pathway.
Yeah.
But is the wall-to-wall coverage and the stories that we're hearing about contributing more to that phobia that people already have?
Absolutely. I think whenever there's any kind of tragedy in the news that heightens an existing fear we may already have, even if it's a mild one like you say you have, it can cause greater fears for all of us, especially if you have, for example, in the case of flying, an upcoming flight you must make.
By seeing this coverage, can you develop that phobia as well if you never were afraid before of flying?
I would make an assumption for everyone, but certainly for some people, it could trigger something. You know, for some people, they never had a fear of flying until they had one bumpy flight.
Right.
And now they're starting to think the next time if that happens again, I'm going to flip out. So there's something that happens called cognitive distortions, where our brain convinces us of things that are untrue. So then we start to commit something called like emotional reasoning, where we believe that our feelings must be fact. And that then sends us straight to worst case scenario. And that is when we get really, really stressed out.
I see. Okay, so how can we sort of ease this anxiety and cope with it?
Well, there's a couple of things that we need to remember. We have to keep perspective about the situation, and there's a number of steps that we want to offer today. But one is separating anxiety from real danger. One of the things I like to do is ask people who are afraid of flying is to go to an airport and count the number of flights that land safely. And you start to see factually, it's really very safe to fly compared to a lot of other things. You know, it's a 1 in, I think, 20 million chance of being in a plane accident. You're more likely to get into an accident in your car to the airport.
Right.
More likely to be hit by lightning.
Right.
So know the facts. That'll help separate from the anxiety.
Okay, what else do you suggest?
I also really encourage folks to avoid keeping our fears alive. If you are uncomfortable with travel, don't watch the back-to-back news about this particular story. Make sure that you give yourself a chance to experience some things that are comforting to you outside of the travel. So, you know, don't stay up too late before a flight. Don't overdrink. People think that will comfort their nerves. It actually doesn't. It can eventually heighten them.
Some of the friends that I have who do really have this phobia also talk about breathing techniques that they've been taught to really get through this flight, especially at takeoff. Would you suggest something like this?
Yes, well, this is part of cognitive behavioral therapy technique, and one of the things that we can help people do in overcoming a phobia is various kinds of breathing strategies, breathing techniques. A real simple one is called square breathing, where you breathe up to the count of 4, breathe across, this is all in your mind, breathe down to the count of 4, and breathe back. And it just sort of distracts you from noticing what's going on, and the slow breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out can help to re-regulate your mind, body, and your amygdala reaction to anxiety, calm your body down.
Wow, okay. Any final tips?
Well, I do think that if you have a real phobia, that cognitive behavioral therapy is the #1 best strategy to help people re-expose themselves in a comfortable way to learn better coping strategies to manage the symptoms.
All right. Cindy Crane, thank you as always.
Thanks for
Very
having
good
me.
tips there. We'll be
Yeah.
also posting this to our website, myfoxdc.com. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Over to you, Wiz and Mike.